Welcome back to the end of the roundtable. This episode might be the one that does it in. We've done 26 of these. First time doing it where I've never seen any of the movies going in, including my own. So that's fun. When I was building this panel, I said I need chaos. So I got Nazario and Kaiser, and they delivered. Jake Marangoni, you will see for the next couple of roundtables because I royally fucked him in movie Melee by not including him in the last one standing, and that was a misgaffe of mine. So we worked on a negotiation. He said, I would like to be on roundtable more. I said, well, welcome to the show. So he'll be on for the next couple months. I actually enjoy Jake, so that's not a punishment to me. That's actually an improvement to the show, so I enjoy that. So, Mark, you're the only one that normally joins me. I finally looked behind the hello. I looked behind the mask. I figured out how you decide your movies, and holy shit, you are a fucking psychopath. Beer and water chasing. I like what you're doing. How are you doing? Why did you decide what you decided?
Well, most of you know, I'm not sure about what I want to throw on. I just throw a big fucking wheel. I spin it a couple times, I figure out, what movie I want to do. And I threw this one particular thing on here because even though I know Cody doesn't like watching non-theatrically released movies, this is probably one of the most interesting ones I think I can bring to the show and think is be fun to talk about. So I brought Batman Under the Red Hood.
Fuck yeah.
We all could have just played Arkham Knights and got the same.
Arkham City.
It's Arkham Knights, isn't it?
I know what you mean. Arkham Knight's the same story. Yeah. But Arkham City.
Okay, thank you. No, Arkham City is the far superior game, but we could have played Arkham Knights and got the same thing. Tank the game, where you just play tanks.
Yes.
And he's actually a liar. He lies. He makes a playoff format where you have to win a spot on the wheel and then you get it. Batman Under the Red Hood had 2 slices on a wheel of 4. It won twice. It shouldn't have an opportunity to win twice. That's ridiculous.
What were the other movies?
Wait a minute.
You'll just tune into Roundtable. You'll see them in a few weeks, a few months. They'll be there. They didn't get executed. Next up, Jake. Jake's been on the show probably the most out of everybody else after this. What'd you bring? You have I will have to check back to my notes, but you have a good history on this show of picking movies that I'm not a fan of.
Well,
so, what'd you pick?
So yes. I sort of am. I don't know if this isn't by intention. I like just underrated sci-fi fantasy films that people should watch. Altered States, Peter Pan, but I'm going with Alex Proyas's underrated Dark City from '98. It's a movie that I find, just absolutely underrated. It was overshadowed by The Matrix, so I just think this movie should shed a light on people who haven't seen it. So I think it's very interesting.
You feel the 98 in it, but we'll talk about that later. Next up, Bar.
Hey.
How are you, old man? You definitely picked a 2010s coming of age movie, right? What'd you pick?
I decided to step away from tradition and picked Fiddler on the Roof. I picked this movie mostly because I think now when we talk about the greatest movie musicals ever made, this one tends to get left behind for some reason. And,
there are reasons.
This is 3 fucking hours long, but we'll talk about that later. That's fine. Now the last 2, I took a Hail Mary shot to get both of these because I wanted both of them on for a very long time. Nazario famously does not do weekends, so I knew I had to give him a weekend that he could lock in. And then Kaiser I've wanted on forever, but I just didn't know what episode, and I decided to make episode 26 the best episode. So we'll start with Nazario. What did you bring? Why'd you bring it? And how are you?
Okay. I'm good, thanks. I decided to expand the minds of the people in this community because how many chances do I get to actually just make them watch a movie that I want people to watch. And I have been pushing this like under the subtext with putting strengths of Latin speaking or Spanish speaking filmmakers. But I haven't gotten to Julio Medem yet, except the one movie I put on the top 100. So I picked Sex and Lucia because, it's a very interesting film, and also titties.
Emphasis on the word sex.
Lucia and sex are both featured in this movie. I can confirm.
Prominently.
And next up, now I didn't give so I just before Kaiser says this movie, I don't give anybody criteria of what to pick. My only rule that I like people to pick is pick a movie that you actually like and that you want to talk about. It could be considered one of the worst movies, but if you find enjoyment and you want to talk about it, you're free to bring it on. The only rule that has now changed since we are doing the top 100 walkthrough of movies, if anybody picks a movie off those, I have to exit because I'm not double talking about it. I will be on both shows. So this one did not cross that path. It was not on the combined
This is not on the top 100.
So we were clear.
Thanks,
so
God.
Kaiser, how are you and what did you bring?
So I'm feeling pretty great. It's a very bright and a sunny morning. So okay.
I
The
agree.
primary reason why I picked it is kind of in response because in the green room chat, I was a third to pick, and the two person who picked their movies before me was I think Nazaro and I think Bar, and then I was like, Bar picked a 3-hour fucking musical, and Nazaro probably picked like an art house movie. So I was like, let me just pick something that is short that you can get to very very quickly, and in my opinion, at least you can get a lot of laughs during it. So. Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties.
You heard that right. Garfield, The Tale of Two Kitties. I am normally a completionist. I don't like to watch things out of sequels, or like if I watch the first, like if I want to watch the third one, I'm gonna watch the lead to it. I didn't see the original Garfield. I'll tell you right. I did not watch it. I don't care if I lost context. We'll see where it is.
It's like watching episode 5 before watching episode 2.
Right, yeah. Don't know where we're at. So you can fill in some context if I missed anything. And then my movie. I picked Wind River from 2017. I'm also good, by the way. Taylor Sheridan's movie. I heard mixed, I would say, of this movie, kind of. I don't know who. There's some people that didn't like it in the community, but most people are around the 4.5 range. So I was really excited because he's a great writer. I haven't seen his other work of directing, so I just took a shot. But like Hell or High Water and Sicario are like two of my like up there movies for me. So I wanted to see his directorial work, and we'll get to it, but didn't disappoint. So I'm really excited that I picked it. So we're gonna kick it off. We're gonna start with Wind River. We're gonna start with my movie. This movie really works for me. Overall, like I like his I like any like investigation film, like figure out the plot and figure it out. This movie's got some fucked up shit in it though. Like I just didn't expect like how some of the shit happens. Like, also like one of the most like vicious but like beautiful like killing of a person like at the end of this film. Like I like overall if you're gonna like it's so satisfying because the guy to be fair, I will just be ahead of the thing. The guy that plays the character like is an overacting like he's the one part that just drove me crazy. So I'm glad that he was the piece of shit and I'm glad he did die at the end. But like Jeremy Renner plays that really well. I think it was Elizabeth Olsen, but I didn't know what to expect fully in this movie. I didn't know what it was about. I didn't know anything really. I just knew that I've heard the trivia question of how the person dies. So I knew that was going into it. Like I knew that, but what it all entails and like the corruption and everything that leads to it. So that was really cool. I'm curious what everybody else thought about this. If anybody like rewatched or something, you can tell this is your second watch, but the floor is yours. Go ahead and talk about Wind River.
It was my first time watching this movie. I heard about it, but I guess it's one of those things that you kind of have to watch it because you need for a show or somebody really recommends it. So I look for it because I don't know if it was a big movie when it got released, but it was, even though it had two pretty famous actors, it felt like a small movie. But I really enjoyed watching it because it felt like the kind of dramas that used to be made for adults in the theaters that I don't feel that are that common anymore. I think those are the kind of movies that either go to streaming now, like that very, like, it was okay, but it was worse.
I get
The
what you're
Denzel
saying.
Washington one with Jared
The
Leto.
little thing.
That was
Yeah.
Peters.
That movie.
Yes, that was fine. But this one actually really surprised me, and I really like that. It's the weird thing is, like, it's the second movie about like people mistreating Native Americans that I've seen in less than a year, because Killers of the Flower Moon.
Yeah.
Thought you were
Yeah,
about to
no,
say for a second.
that's kind of an interesting topic. You're right. Like, who was it? American Fiction that won at the Oscars?
I
that
want to
said,
adapt to
Yeah.
screenplay. Yeah.
American
instead of making $200 films, like make $50-$20 million films
Make
or
20,
whatever.
10
like
million,
break
yeah,
it-
yeah.
Yeah, like break it apart, which is a really good factor. Like you figure that out. Like these are these kind of movies, and I just didn't know what to like fully expect on it. I guess this is just me being like, the only question mark I had going into it was Elizabeth Olsen in this kind of film. Like I don't put her in the same, like in Sicario. Like you can also look at Sicario and see Emily Blunt and be like, okay, how does Emily Blunt going to play in this? But she plays really well. So I was curious about how Elizabeth Olsen fits in. I think Elizabeth Olsen does fine. I would say she's probably the weaker of the cast, like overall. But I feel like that's like by writing. I don't think she gets enough to really do in the
Yeah.
film. Like, and
She
it
feels
and it
underused.
feels like, yeah, it feels like Jeremy Renner is
Yeah.
just like the savior of it. Like he'll
Yeah,
be
'cause
the one to like get her out of the situations when it arises. So.
It's
Go ahead.
like it's almost like she's a damsel in distress, even though you see that she is capable of getting herself out of things, like at the drug house. So it's kind of
brutal.
yeah. So like I kind of agree. She's giving a good performance in a role that could have been fleshed out like just a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
I think that's a short runtime too. I think it's interesting. Like you're right, it's a short for that kind of movie with that like investigation for an hour 45 is like pretty short for a movie that has to unpack a good amount of detail through kind of just plot. Like we learn about Jeremy Renner's kid and wife of like exposition dump from the guy in the back. Like it's just like we don't learn these key pieces of information, like which. Now, I'm not saying the runtime bothers. Like, I could have lived it longer, but I'm okay with the runtime as is. But, like, that's something you get the fleshed out version of it, I think. And, like, they played a little too hard into, like, the fish out of water. Like, this is not your normal place where the FBI goes.
Which
and, like,
is the exact same thing as Sicario. That was my biggest
Yes.
problem with the movie, is that Taylor Sheridan just took the same stock female character and just put it into Wind River. I think that's the weakest part for the movie for me. Yes,
instead of hot desert, it's cold tundra. Like
setting, I think that's the way. And I utmost respect to Elizabeth Olsen, who is an actress I really like. And this is not necessarily based on just her performance, because I think it is, like you said, Cody, part of the writing. But I do think she's the weakest part of the movie, just because she, outside of, I guess, her action scene at the very end, and I guess the drug bust scene, I think those two scenes really work well, but the rest of the movie, it's like she doesn't really have much meat to chew on. But I was just going to say, my introduction with the movie is, I had never seen this. This is one that I'd been on my watch list forever. I absolutely love Hell or High Water. I think Sicario is great. This is the one, I guess. What's the Angelina Jolie fire movie?
Those Who Wish You Dead?
That one. That's the other Taylor Sheridan. That's the other Taylor Sheridan movie that he directed.
Those Who Wish Me Dead.
Yeah, John Bertha also in that. But this is one that I had always.
By the way, that was like, holy shit, that's John Bertha. Oh, that's John Bertha.
I would love to get into that at a point, because that's like the best scene in the movie, in my opinion. But I do think that Elizabeth Olsen definitely had some weakest part.
I think we need to unpack more about Elizabeth Olsen, because she gets into a gunfight, like brutal shootout in the middle of the hallway, and like continues like joking about her life afterwards. Like There's no shell shock. There's no like I went through some shit. Like this is awful. Like she just continuing about her day, joking with Jerry. Like, and then he's like, "We need to call EMS." Nah, it's an hour away. He'll be. Like,
I do like
let's
that.
go. No, I
There
do
is something
too. Like I
about
think that was.
that of just there's just sort of just the, I guess sort of just the way that everyone reacts about this. Like, yeah, we would like to save this person, but it's not going to happen. You just got to accept that fact. Even for someone like a drug dealer or whatever that character is.
Kaiser
It
Mark,
is interesting that people just like kind of get used to that shit. Like we are so fucking deep in this region that we're by ourselves. Oh, I got a gunshot. Yeah, you're dead.
Yeah, but
Not a fact.
Elizabeth Olsen doesn't feel like somebody that's pulled her. The way she acts in the movie doesn't feel like she pulls her gun often. Like
No,
and she
I
turns
thought,
into
you know
like
what she remembered me kind of like a Jodie Foster character in Silence of the Lambs, but then she doesn't go that deep into her character.
she does shoot the shit out of a guy's leg at one point. Like holy shit,
Oh,
like,
it's
that
great.
was brutal. So Kaiser and Mark, what were your guys' take? Did you see the movie prior, or is this first time watch for you guys?
For me, it was the first time. I don't think I've ever seen any of Taylor Sheridan stuff, whether he's written or he's directed. So first time of a Taylor Sheridan. I have seen I have seen parts of Sicario, and I don't remember a lot about it, but meh. I think this movie was fine. Like it's not like it's the type of a movie where it's like you watch and it's like 3 stars. It's not. It will never be like nominated for like awards, but it's just like a fun experience about I think a pretty important subject. And I think the movie was really good. I would say that I did not expect the twist. Like there is a certain character that I saw on the classes that did not appear until like the 1 hour and 15-minute mark. That was like, I thought he was the killer, and so I was pleasantly surprised by the twist, and yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah.
Mark?
Yeah, I'm a really big fan of this movie. I am a pretty big fan of most of Taylor Sheridan's work. I would say most of his films. I think
big Yellowstone fan.
What? Oh, I'll bring that up in a little bit. I friggin' love Sicario, Hell or High Water. I think both of those movies are masterpieces. I think they're just masterworks in writing in general. Like I think Hell or High Water should just be studied like in screenwriting school. Like the way that story is structured is incredible.
I agree.
And Wind River, yeah, it's just, especially in this, like he just has a way of he has a way of kind of bringing to life the American frontier, even as it's still like kind of a real thing. Like it's something that we think is kind of dead, and at least in films for years. I think he has this really unique voice in bringing that alive and kind of making it feel real and not super played up. And I think at least of the 3 of his that I think go that way, Wind River's probably like the weakest of those, at least compared to Sicario and Hell or High Water, but still very excellent. It's still really well done. So, and in a weird way, I think he's able to kind of tell, like he's able to stick in a social message in this, but like not beat you over the head with it, and make it feel like it makes sense, and it gets the point across without like about being like too over about it.
I do like that ending. Like what you're talking about is just that final. It's the final shot of the movie, and just that text that just shows up, and that's definitely something that was like an eye opener of just like, oh, okay, there's more than what you would expect is going on when it comes to murder or mystery or disappearances, and the fact that there's no.
You mean the text at the end of the movie?
Yeah.
Sadly, that's the one part I missed because I was watching this in Russian Netflix and it came out in Russian, so I was like, yikes, missed something. But
So I think we can get. You're muted again, Bar. I don't know what you need to learn.
No, I had things going on in the room behind me. Did you go back and read what it read, Nazario?
I mean, I have to look for a copy of the movie in English.
Yeah, but did you look it up online?
No.
It basically said that like of all this disappearance stats, there's none recorded for Native American women, which is like so no one knows
Holy
how
shit.
many are actually
Fucking
disappeared.
sucks.
And that's part of why Taylor Sheridan wanted to write where it's like he heard that fact and was just like, holy shit. And, yeah.
I think
By the way, the one scene that I really think was satisfying as shit was how it ended with the killer guy. Because of the way that Jeremy Renner's character, the hunter, kind of promised the girl's father, like, don't worry, if I ever figure it out, I know who did it. I'm gonna take care of it. The way he takes care of it is fucking sweet. And you get the juxtaposition because they do mention several times how she died, why she died, and then they tell you like, yeah, but before that happened, she ran 6 fucking miles in the dark. That is amazing. Comparing to how the guy dies and how quickly it happens.
Couldn't even run 60 meters, you know?
Son of a bitch.
Well, he was also leaking from a lot of holes, basically, if we're being real. He was shot in the leg and back and side. Like he was he was not like she was not full health. Mark, were you gonna say something before we go into the scene?
He died because of the thing with the breathing thing.
Oh yeah, he took him to the highest point. Yeah, he's fine.
Yeah.
I just want to say one thing real quick, because I think probably the point I want to move on. Like, you probably mentioned something about Yellowstone. I just kind of want to bring this up really quick. It's because
I have never seen anything, so
like I've seen it, and it's not great, it's not terrible, but it's basically like Sons of Anarchy for your dad, and it's just like kind of like just it angers me so much that the Paramount Network has basically just become, hey, Taylor Sheridan, you just do whatever, just dumping money, and he's wasting all his time writing all this dumb fucking TV, and he still has like a good slate of films, and every time he goes back to films, they're decent. I'd rather him just not waste his time with like this bullshit Western show he's doing with Kevin Costner.
I'm sorry if anybody here likes Sons of Anarchy, but that show sucks.
Taylor Sheridan is also in that show, which is funny you bring that up. You're 100% right on the whole dad vibes. My dad, who does not watch a lot of movies, loves Yellowstone, and I think Costner's like sort of interesting in it, from what he's told me. But it's also like he's just in that so he can fund his American Saga massive magnum opus that he's been working on for years.
All right, enough on Yellowstone. Hold on. So let's go to the one part that I think everybody is like the scene of the movie, basically.
John
Bernthal shows up, gives everybody the thought like. So here's my thought. I don't know how everybody else is. So this is the first time watching. I know nothing about the movie. When they're driving to the land and it says restricted land. My first the bell went off. I'm like, this is where the criminals are at. Like, I don't need anything else. I don't need anything else. And then when they all square up in the guns, I was like, okay, now I'm fully on. I know exactly who the fuck. These are the corrupt fuckers that are doing what they're doing. So that's where I was. I don't know if everybody else was, but that's where I was. I feel like you weren't.
No.
So
I put it together at that point.
So I believe. So John Bernthal show. Go ahead. Just go ahead, guys. Sorry.
So yeah, the reason why I thought like John Burton was a villain because first of all that he's probably like the third or fourth biggest name in the actual movie itself. So and then they have been saving him until now. So yeah. So I thought they were gonna do like a massive reveal scene, and then he would like kickstart the fighting. So I was, and then even when the flashback scene started, I thought that he would like turn violent in the middle of a cuddle. So and then I was pleasantly surprised when it wasn't the case.
As soon as I saw that guy, I thought him like, yep, that's a rapist right there, fucking John Bernthal.
And you're thinking of the scene from Sicario as well, and you're like, okay, is it going to be like the same type of character?
Yeah.
So that was weird. So I watched it and I was like, holy fucking shit, John Bernthal's in this. What the fuck you're doing here? Because I don't put him as the killer in my brain. So I just let it go out. then the
You
shit
didn't watch The
happens.
Walking Dead. He was a bitch.
No, I watch Walking Dead.
Season 2.
Yeah, I don't just watch Walking Dead and be like, "Yep, murder and everything, rapist and all." Like, it doesn't click. Like, I don't care who you are. Like, it didn't play into the movie because I figure if he was doing something, he would be like, in my mind, if it was John Bernthal and he was going to be the person, he would be around town being like that aide or like that friendly guy throughout it, but like also doing some shady shit. For him just to pop up seems really random. Which is where the good and the bad of this scene happens for me. Because I feel like this scene is like, we go from 0 to 1 billion miles an hour, like real fast. Like, drunk idiot guy, like, oh, just what are you doing back there? You're doing that shit, blah, blah. And then shit hits the fan and goes batshit. Like, and they don't, like, yeah, we're scummy, we're fucking, this is who we are, and like, you know it real quick. I think the scene's incredibly like brutal and like hard to watch and like all the shit. And like, I think when John Bernthal's like getting the shit beat out of him and you just see him mouth
just
like
shouting,
"Go, get out of here," like it was just like, oh shit. Like, and I think like don't want to get taken down on YouTube or anything, but that scene where she's laying on the bed and like you then figure out what's happening to her in that moment, you're just
God.
Holy shit. Like they really just let it go, and which helps you with that scumbag of a character like that you just despise. Because and I guess like again, they don't need the woman running to the thing and getting the or whatever to show back up and like the shotgun blast to Elizabeth Olsen's chest. Like this movie has like some straight like shock value moments. Like holy shit, I think it worked, but I think like I don't know if I wanted more build up. Like I don't need that scene to go on any longer, but maybe some more build up leading into like the final showdown of the movie because it happens super fast and it's gone super fast. Like
that's what I like about that. At least it happens. I just think it's so effective because it's like you don't know what to expect, and like I don't think anyone was expecting the shotgun blast when it happened. But when it does, it's just immediately it's a shootout, and then that's it, and then it's just whoever's left.
What kind of sniper does he have though? Because those bullets send the people flying.
Yeah, they were pushing back. Yeah, it was great.
That dude who hit the other side of the RV like it was not just bounce. I was like, holy shit! So. We can talk more about the scene. That scene. If anybody has something to add to it, go for it. I think it's the best scene in the movie.
I actually kind of did see that coming. This is my second watch. I will say.
That's
but
why.
I also remember the.
So of course you saw it coming. So I would have saw it coming too if I saw the blueprints laid out.
But I first of all, I hadn't seen it since it was in theaters, but also.
But you still saw it. What
the first time I saw it. God damn it!
I am Iron Man. Fucking knew it. I seen it earlier today, but I knew it. Fucking know he's Iron Man, bitch.
But also the first time I saw it, I kind of saw it coming too because honestly, it was one of those moments where like I'm watching the film and I literally thought going in my head they're flanking them, and then suddenly he goes they're flanking us, and I'm like, fuck, shit's about to fucking go down. Even after the de-escalation, like I was on edge because I knew that like everything was gonna escalate after that.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but Elizabeth Olsen, where I think she lacks certain parts, is like everybody's got their guns pointed over. Goes, I am an FBI agent. I don't fucking Shut up! Like, who are you talking to? We all have pistols drawn. I'm the only one that can make this call. They'll shoot you and be done. We'll be left with. It was like, it was really random, but yeah.
I would like to just shout out, because we've talked about the white people in the movie. I would like to shout out Gil Birmingham. And Graham Greene. I think they're just like great character actors. I mean, they're both in the Twilight films, but Gil Birmingham's in The Hell or High Water. Speaking of Taylor Sheridan, he's great as the his buddy cop duo with Jeff Bridges is great to watch. But also like Graham Greene's just like been in films forever. I think he's in Dances Before, so let me just double check that. I don't want to be racist.
No, he was.
3 Mile, yeah. So he's like
win in his something, yeah.
they've been in movies like just great character actors, and I love seeing them when they just show up. But like Gil Birmingham, when his scene with Elizabeth Olsen, I think is really good. Like, yeah, you go talk to the mom and just like what is happening there, just like really got me there. But the moment with Jeremy Renner when he comes in and they just sort of console. But like what I don't know if it was Mark or Cody who said it, but like just the way exposition is sort of laid out through the movie, it doesn't give you too much. It really becomes effective at the end when you realize their connection, because I just are they just buddies? But once you realize that their daughters were friends, and the idea is that he never knew really what happened with his daughter, that sort of puts the motions in together, and you sort of realize like, okay. And like I said with the last shot, like I just love the fact that they just sitting, just dealing with what has just happened. I found that really effective, but I do like them too a lot in the movie.
I also think the shot of Jeremy Renner walking away with him laying on the snow at the top of the mountain was a really cool shot that they do.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get scores on Wind River. Maybe I should put this third. This was a great conversation. This is one of the best conversations we've had on the show. So good job, all. I will start. It is my movie. I'm going to give it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. Probably could go up on watches, but on first watch, definitely 4 stars. And maybe I'll pick up stuff more I watched. Maybe there's more in there that I just oversaw. Jake.
I am giving it 4 stars as well. I like a good modern western with an interesting setting, a snow western, if you want to call it. I think it's brilliantly delivered as far as like its ideas and locations. I think it looks good for an $11 million film. A couple of problems, minor, but I think it's really effective. Great thriller. So yeah, 4 stars.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, Sheridan just knows how to do this type of stuff. Just dark, gritty, frontier style movie. He's got to do more of them. Just plain and simple. This one's fantastic. It's a 4.5 stars from me.
Yeah, I should have went to you first. I realized I made a mistake. Nazario.
Very great adult concept movies. Like I said at the beginning, we don't get many of these like movies that are definitely not made to make money in the theater and bring children, and just entertaining, complete, good values. Wish they had Elizabeth Olsen like a little more developed, but other than that, solid all the way around. 4 stars.
Kaiser.
It's a pretty solid movie that I think that like I said earlier, it wouldn't win any awards, but it's a good time. Like the one thing that I kind of wish this movie did was to give Jeremy Renner like a harder challenge for like for the killer, because the killer is kind of just pretty pathetic. But that's like a minor thing. But otherwise, it's really good. 3.5.
Sure. And Bar, you saw it twice, even though you saw it coming both times. What's your rating?
I barely said anything for this discussion, and that's the one thing. Mother. Okay.
Tradition. Go ahead.
Tradition.
Yeah.
I can't wait to talk about Fiddler on the Roof. Sorry.
Can't wait. That's why I put it at the end.
This is a very solid movie. Some great acting, even if some of the characters were underdeveloped. Gil Birmingham needs more work as an actor. 4 stars.
Perfect. Now, on to a movie. Well, on to like a group of movies that I swore I'd never watch, because I don't do straight to DVD. But fucking hell, here we are.
We're going under the red hood.
Tim loves DC like animated things. Me, I love Batman the animated series. Like definitely enjoyed that. This is not the level of that. I will say that. Overall, I thought it was good. So I'm wrong. I thought I was going to get Mark Hamill. I did not get Mark Hamill. Mark Hamill's not in this. So
That's Bender from Futurama.
I was going to say, you got Bender.
This Joker sucks. I just want that on the record. He sucks. And that's not his fault. He just has a huge benchmark to clear for me. He sucks. Overall, I'd rather play Arkham Knights. That's just my take. I'd rather play Arkham Knights and play the tank game numerous times than this. It was short.
Yeah.
It was short. It was fine. It really loses all its luster when I know, like, if I didn't know anything about Under the Red Hood, like, I think this would be sweet. Me, I just know exactly. Like, you're being a bitch for no reason. Like, I know who you are. Like, stop it. So it didn't work for me overall. I didn't have fun. No, it's not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie. It's just there's a reason it was released straight to DVD.
Mark, why is it a great movie?
Yeah, go ahead, Mark. Isn't The Killing Joke better though? Isn't that what?
Really? No.
The animated
Like
one?
that.
Are you kidding?
Yeah,
Yeah, the one where Batgirl and Batman have sex? No.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happens. Okay,
Like,
I just
yeah.
heard. I just heard The Killing Joke was really good. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the comic Killing Joke is really good. Is
Yeah,
that what I'm hearing?
Yes.
The
yes.
animated Killing Joke is the Killing Joke plus Paul Dini's sex dream. It's like 2 for 1. So
I
yeah,
have sex in a comic. That's weird. Okay, go ahead. Continue.
Yeah, so I think it's funny you start up wanting to play Arkham Knight, and like it's my main problem of Arkham Knight, honestly. Like we know he's stupid fucking Jason Todd, and they won't just say it the whole time. Whatever. I think this one just kind of gets out of the way, and also fucking we know who he is. Just says Red Hood. Anyway, I like him. Also enjoy I just like Batman a lot. Batman is just my character. He's just like my favorite character. Like in
No.
yeah. And like I grew up watching the animated series, and I watched a ton of these animated ones. And of most of them, Under the Red Hood, I think has kind of stuck with me over time, mainly just because I think this one, takes the most chances. I think of most of these animated films, or at least started that trend of them being at least more adult, more violent. I think just a bit more story driven. I think this one, hits better than most of those, and I think kind of it has like those main benchmarks of a lot of these animated ones where, we kind of get like it guys to kind of do the voice acting. We got some pretty solid action scenes here. We kind of throw in like 2 good chases back to back, and you got those couple really good fight scenes like Jason Todd and Batman taking down like that ninja hitman gang is really cool. And then, although I think what really sets this one up, and I think it's a reason why I think this one's really great and sets it, is that last 15 minutes where it just kind of lays like all of its emotional cards right on the table, and you just kind of feel the pain of everything. And it's where I think Jensen Ackles kind of comes in as a voice actor. They just picked the right fucking guy to play Jason Todd here. Just it gets me every time, and it's also one that I think, like a lot of good Batman media, is like it's fine with just being sad, and I think that's kind of the sweet spot, I think, for most Batman entertainment.
Everybody else, go ahead.
this is, other than not related to a TV series, the fucking best DC Batman animated film. I went for my list. I only have 2 movies before it, and those are Batman, Mask of the Phantasm, and Return of the Joker from Batman and Beyond. Like, other than that, this is top level shit. Like, you get Batman at its most detective when he figures it out. The way he figures it out is actually it's simple and brilliant. He was just like, do you know how he knew how to cut the cable before they got tight? You learned that shit. I teach that shit. And then he said like, well, but maybe he learned it somewhere else. Nightwing says. He's like, no, but you have many people that have fucking knives that cut my fucking cables. Like what Mark is talking about the last fucking 15 minutes. It's perfect. It's perfect Batman writing at its best. It is. The first time I watched this, I hadn't read the I don't read comic books. I don't play those video games, to be honest. I just was getting the story from the movie as that for my first interaction with it. And when he just throws him a gun and says like, well, I know you don't fucking kill anybody. This is your line. Well, today you want to make a fucking decision. Either you shoot me or I shoot him. I honestly didn't know what was gonna happen, and the way Batman just fucking deals with it. Yes, that it was a perfect Batman moment, and follow that with a fucking perfect Joker moment when they just want to blow up the fucking apartment, and Batman goes to like fucking disconnect it, and Joker's like, no, you're not gonna fucking ruin it. I didn't even plan this, and it's just perfect. It's that this movie encapsulates what the concept of Batman is, the tragic nature of this character in its best exposition, and just gives it to you. And the fact that it's animated and it never shies away from the violence is just chef's kiss. This movie is amazing, guys. I don't give a shit what you guys think. It's fucking amazing.
So my experience with this movie, this is for the first time in Roundtable, a movie that I had seen before. And I remember watching this when I was, I don't know, 12. I was young. I was a kid, a teenager, maybe. And I like Batman. I'm more of a Spider-Man fan, obviously, but I do like Batman. I do like a lot of the adaptations. This is one that I never had heard about. I like Sarah, I never read comics, so I didn't really know that there were really other Robins than Dick Grayson. So to know that was sort of what's going on, and I think the best thing going into this movie, for me at least, for my first time, is that I had no clue the twist of Red Hood being Jason Todd. That was, I thought, going into that as just the 12-year-old, was just the best way to watch it, because then I got to see how that plays out and what happens later throughout the movie. I know, Cody, you're talking about Arkham Knight. I don't like that story because of the twist, because of the Arkham Knight character, because it basically is just doing this in a lesser version, which is why I prefer Asylum City to that game.
Well,
But I just
so do I. But I'd rather play than watch this shit.
I don't think it's shit. I think it's really good. I really like this movie.
Yeah,
I liked it when I was
shit.
younger. I liked rewatching it. I do like that relationship, that dynamic though, with Jason Todd and how different of a Robin he is to Dick Grayson, and the fact that we get the original Robin in a couple of action scenes, I think is really great. And the fact that he's voiced by Neil Patrick Harris is also kind of interesting. I think he does a good job playing the Boy Wonder, and their sort of dynamic is different to the way Bruce and Jason's is. But I think it's just like, yeah, I can't say I've seen a lot of Batman animated films, but I think this is a gold standard of them. I think it's really, really good.
Good shit.
Gold standard.
Okay,
Kaiser?
I'll go first.
Huh?
I preface by saying this: if there's one character I never need to see a movie of ever again, it's Batman. I'm pretty sick of like all the Pattinson, Keaton, blah blah blah. To me, they're like, I don't really need to see any more Batman movies, but this movie was fine. I think he has major problems. Like, for example, Black Mask. What was he doing in his movie? He tonally doesn't really fit, and then he was just goofy and was just kind of out of place. And then also, I kind of had issue with the characterization of Jason Todd. Like, he's supposed to be this anti-hero, but then I think that personally, like, he's just like a straight up villain. Like, he's a like, in his first introduction scene as the Red Hood, he's a crime boss. Like, he's not. It removes like any subtlety. He's not an anti-hero. He's just a straight up villain. So I wasn't really feeling a lot of sympathy for him. And I mean, this movie doesn't look that great, but that's kind of to be expected because it's straight to DVD. And yeah, I wish it was longer because I feel that there's a lot of characters that they could have cut. But there's also, and then Jake, you brought up Nightwing. I wish they had shown more of Nightwing because I think he was one of the best parts of the movie, but they only really showed him for like 1 or 2 scenes max.
Every single Warner Brothers DC animated movie is 1 hour and 15 minutes, no more, no less. If it's more, you get 2 parts.
Fair.
Why you get the Dark Knight Returns?
Well, I'm so glad this was one because I want to be beat with that crowbar and should stay there any longer. Bar, you a big fan?
So this was a first time watch for me.
Did you see it coming?
Probably did, to be honest.
So
if you saw the opening, you know what was going on.
I've never read the comic. I have like friends that are huge Batman fans who like talk about it all the time. So like I was kind of aware of some of the things in it. First things first, I love John DiMaggio. Black Mask was a better Joker than Joker was in this movie.
I couldn't stop hearing Bender. That was an issue. I gotta admit. Like, have you guys seen Futurama?
Yeah.
He plays Bender, so it's like the voice of Homer Simpson. It's like some characters are just so ingrained in pop culture, and when you hear them talking as everybody else, you're like, no,
When the
that's
genie
wrong.
in Aladdin starts sounding like Homer Simpson, I do understand. Like it's a little like, wait, what?
Oh yeah, that.
So that was an issue. Like the more and more, like this was the first film I watched for the episode, and after watching it, like immediately after watching it, I was like, this was actually like really good, and I liked it, and blah blah blah. And the more and more it sat with me, the more and more I kind of started having problems with it. That being one. It does kind of hurt that I knew that Jason Todd was the Red Hood. But even if I didn't know that, just the way that the film opens with that particular scene, I feel like I still would have kind of had an inkling, like, oh, this guy's the Robin from before. So it kind of plays its hand a little bit. I don't know what the whole ninja thing is. I'm sorry, I didn't care for that scene. I thought it was a little over the top. I will give this movie one thing though, and this one thing is incredibly good, which makes me still kind of really like it, and it's Bruce Greenwood as Batman. I think that he's giving a very great performance. He's not Kevin Conroy, but it's still like a very layered performance. I can still feel the emotion and the character through his performance of it.
He was Batman also in the Young Justice, the TV show, and another movie, Gotham by Gaslight. So,
okay. Can we get scores, or does anybody want to talk about the crowbar scene or the?
I want to say this. Like, I think the problems I have, which are not many, but I still have with the Joker, it's in the voice acting and the recognition of the character, because I do think that this Joker, as written on the page, is pretty great. Like the way he is sitting in front of Black Mask after he rescues him, just eating fucking chips. And then he's like, well, what do you need to catch Batman? And he's like, I need this, 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 and this. They gave him everything, and then he immediately betrays Black Mask. That is fucking Joker. And then when he figures it out, he's like, oh shit, this is the kid I beat up. He's like, this is like a family reunion. Let's take a picture with the kid, a picture with Batman, a picture with the crowbar. Gold, man. This fucking Joker's great.
I would like to shout out Ra's al Ghul, voiced by Jason Isaacs.
I had to double check that one. I saw Jason's Isaacs at the beginning. Like, who the fuck is he?
We are a bigger fan of that now than we were before, so that makes sense. Okay. We'll get scores. Mark, what's your score on this?
Yeah, I mean, no Conroy, no Hamill, no problem. This one's a easy 4-star. It's really great.
Rosario and Saw 2 is a half film. It's half star. It's fine.
Dude, third best animated Batman picture of all time. 4.5 stars.
Are you really surprised by that, Cody?
You asked the first two people who are Batman fans. Like, what
2.5. 2.5. More if the crowbar kills somebody. Jake.
I think it's solid. I think it's great. 4 stars.
What? That was a Freudian slip. That was a Freudian.
I almost, yeah, I was. Rosario was going to 4.5. No.
Bar.
I'm gonna say
This is the guy that famously gave The Godfather 4.5 stars because he fell asleep. So
That's not what happened. Okay. A
It is what
light
happened.
3.5.
Light. Give me my three. Give me my quarter.
Give me my 3.25.
Kaiser.
I have my problems with the movie, but it's still a solid watch. 3 stars.
All right. The moment we've all been waiting for.
Have we?
Tim Hill should have won an Academy Award. Garfield. A Tale of Two Kitties. If you thought that lasagna eating fat ass was great when the first one, we're going to take him abroad. We're going to introduce him to a fucking British cat. We're going to have some shit kicking fun. I wish Milo, isn't Milo the dog? I wish Milo would have ate his fat ass. I fucking
It's
hate
Odie.
this movie.
Odie.
Odie,
You know
that's
it?
it, Odie. Why did I say Milo? I don't know why I said whatever.
Milo and Otis.
That's probably why. I wish Odie would have ate his fat ass. I fucking hate Garfield. Like, not only in this movie, I just hate him in general. Like, he's the same problem I have with Winnie the Pooh. Just a fucking greedy motherfucker that just doesn't get checked anytime anything happens. Like, oh bother, like fucking eats all your food. Fucking is John's the name, right? John's the owner of the cat. John just fucking brings this fat ass cat and he eats everything and just fucking hates life. Oh, I hate Monday. Go fuck yourself. We're gonna take you to London. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. What a sequel's supposed to do. Expand on the plot of the first one and like make it bigger and better. Kaiser, what the fuck? Like, you find this enjoyable. You gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. That better be the most ironic 5 stars ever, like Spence does with cats. What is? And I will lead with this. I'm really, really, really allergic to cats. So this fucking cat already was at an uphill battle. Adding British cat pissed me off.
Carlisle Log. Anybody?
Okay, so what I will say first is, am I aware that this movie is not for everyone? Yes.
I hope so.
But then let me just preface by saying this is a movie that I think I don't understand why people don't find it funny. Like, two cats just like there's a scene where the two cats just mirror each other's movement and then it ends by
That's taken from a Marx Brothers movie. What the fuck? Don't give that movie credit. That's taken from like Duck Soup or something.
I mean,
one does the fucking worm and like break dance, and he's like, oh, I knew it wasn't you. You fucking think like they're not even mirroring.
I mean, okay, so I found it funny because I just found it hilarious that the British cat falls like flat on his face, so that was fun. And okay, even if you don't like that scene, how about the last like 20 minutes of the movie where they're chasing Billy Connolly around the castle? That was great.
Yeah, you're right. That was so much fun to see him get whacked in the balls and bitten by a dog.
He was.
And shit.
That was Scooby Doo.
I mean, Scooby is great, so. But and then okay. So what I would say is yes, there are major problems with the movies, especially with the human characters, because both Breckenmeyer and Jennifer Love Hewitt were kind of bad in this, but then they're like bad in a like an oblivious sort of way, like.
We're not gonna fault the human actors in this film. We're not gonna sit there and blame them not being. No,
they chose to be
you
in
don't
this
blame
movie.
them. They wanted to check.
They were there for the patient, but okay. But Billy, okay, the one actor I was not blame was Billy Connolly. Billy Connolly gave his 1000% to this movie. Like he knew what movie he was in, and he brought it. Every joke landed because of his reaction to the being pranked and then being hit in the balls or being bitten by like a dog. He sold the movie, and he's like one of the reasons why this movie is so enjoyable to me.
I don't know if I agree with that.
Okay.
I just want to
Have at
say,
it.
I just want to say, I don't know about everyone else, but I decided to be dumb and stupid and rewatch the first Garfield, just so I had a bit more context because I hadn't seen that shit in.
Because we needed it to understand the
1918.
great mythology of Garfield.
I had an afternoon off. I
The
watched
lore.
Bullet and Caesar Mouse Hunt, and I was like, I need to watch some
Wait.
shitty family
Wait.
films. I did the double
Your
feature.
definition was I had the day off. You could have done anything. You could have replaced your tire on your car that wasn't flat just to replace it. Then do
Oh,
this.
I did that the other day. I did that.
How many days
I
off
only
do you
did
have?
it because they're short. They're only like 90 minutes. Not even. Like, I was like, that's cool. Then it's just 3 hours. It's just 1 3 hour
I've
movie.
seen-
Like, if
I've
sitting
seen
on the
torture
roof, I can do
sessions
2
shorter.
Garfield movies. But anyway, I was just saying, I remember vividly watching the first Garfield movie back in 2004 or whenever, and thinking it sucked. And this is a 6-year-old watching and going, "This sucks. I hate them dancing to Black Eyed Peas. I hate all his fat ass moving around and dancing. I just hate it. It sucks. I don't like the way Garfield looks. He's too orange. There's just so much going on. Like, he looks just out of place in the movie, especially since he's the only
It's fucking
CG
orange.
character.
Him being too orange for Drew out of
I
it.
think it just looked so out of place. And then you get to A Tale of Two Kitties, which is Chef's Kiss, incredible pun. Brilliant. We love that. Right? It's not just one pun, it's 2 puns.
Vice President, that guy is
And
getting
it's-
shot in the head.
It's classic storyline of this character, but there's another character that's the exact same. It's fucking freak. It's the Lizzie McGuire movie. It's Monte Carlo. It's, and then, they swap around and it sucks. Yeah, this movie's not fun. This isn't funny. And then they do the same thing with Black Eyed Peas. It's instead of Hey Mama in the first movie, it's Pump It. And they're cooking lasagna.
Shit. Oh my god!
Sorry to bring that back, Bob. It's not great. There's something. Sorry, there's one more thing I was gonna say. There's one more thing. I just don't understand family films with animals where they act like humans and they dance. There's always dancing going on in animated films with animals. Because it's like it's like a YouTube poop or something, or like a minute short where you're just like, oh, look at this cat dance. It's just like this is entertainment. This is something for babies, and the only people who like this movie are teeny weeny babies who were born in 2003, 2004,
And
who
Kaiser.
grew up. Yes, who grew up with these Garfield films.
This movie doesn't have an original bone in its body. It takes so many ideas off of so many other different things, including the movie before it, just replacing the fucking different Black Eyed Peas song. There is zero originality to this movie. It is like a 5th grader trying to recreate like a Van Gogh Starry Night. Like oh my god, this movie made me so angry watching this.
It's boring as well. Like it's just nothing.
7 minutes in.
Boring? There's a scene in the middle of the movie where they make lasagna. How is it boring?
That's not fun at all.
There are so many other
Well,
movies.
Garfield's dancing, shaking his ass. Like I don't need
So
that.
many other movies do that thing.
I'm sorry about that. Also, like they are acting like he's bringing this exotic fucking dish, like
It's fucking
lasagna. Everybody in the fucking world knows where lasagna is. It's technically pasta, and the fucking UK is closer to Italy than United States.
I wish we get like Joe Farrelly on or someone British so we could ask them.
This fucking movie.
if they've had lasagna.
Yeah, what I don't know who the guy who was writing this obviously meant it as a fucking goof. Like in American fiction, he just writes the bad book on purpose, and it fucking hits. Has to be something like that. They say Liz shows up at John Arbuckle's house. She's like, Jane fucking Goodall dropped from a speech in London, so they tag me, Liz, the vet. How is that a logical thing to say?
I mean,
Then the whole thing is just unfunny. It's an unfunny mess. At least it's short.
So 7 minutes into this movie, and I'm sorry, Mark, we will give you a promise, but 7 minutes into this movie,
He's waiting with bated breath.
7 minutes in, I was ready to walk out because it is the dumbest setup I have ever seen to a movie where like John's ready to propose and like he's about to do it and Garfield like has the ring and it's like ooh, and then like I don't remember like what it was that
He forgets it or something, or he can't find it, and then
like something that it's like something happened with Odie or something like that, and then she walks away. Motherfucker, you could have just said, "I have a ring. I just misplaced it around here somewhere. Will you marry me?" That's all you had to fucking do. You also could have waited for her to come back from London. You didn't have to go there. No one else was chasing her in that moment.
That's the charm of his character. Like he's like
he's a dumbass. John is a dumbass. I just want to make it clear. Brecklin Meyer, like, he's very much a late 90s, 2000s actor. I don't like him in the movie. I don't like Jennifer Love Hewitt in the movie. But John just is so, like, clueless about just the world. Mark.
Yeah.
I was waiting. Anybody got anything else to say? Like,
Totally Connolly is the only thing that keeps us from being as low as it could be.
He was sort of fun. He had funny-ish moments. He's better than Stephen Tobolowsky. He's the villain in the first one. Billy Connolly at least like knows what kind of movie he's in. I'll give him some credit. I'll give the movie some credit, and that's just him.
Oh yeah. Also, Bill Murray's voice acting. 100% spot on.
Oh my god.
Okay. I try to give every movie some credit on here. In one of my first episodes, I came on here and kind of defended Poggy Beach. I thought it wasn't that bad, try to talk it up a little bit, and Barr said... I'm
unconvinced that's a real movie. Yeah. I'm unconvinced.
Well, you would think. Maybe just Canada. Barr said, like, in 7 minutes in, he, like, kind of wanted to stop. 15 minutes in, because this was the first movie I watched, because I knew I just wanted to get this shit out of the way. 15 minutes in, I contemplated just telling Cody, you know what? I can't do this round table. I can't do it. I'm not gonna do this anymore because I try to find something here. I try to find something with every movie. This movie has nothing. There's nothing about it that is any sort of good, redeemable. There's not a good story here. It's like, Kaiser, you say this movie's funny. I'm gonna just read you something real quick. Garfield line. Did you say dish? Lasagna is not a dish windbag. It's a way of life. A state of mind people would be like, what did the Indians serve to the pilgrims? Lasagna. What did Marie Antoinette scream to the rebel? Let them eat lasagna. Who the fuck thinks that's funny? It's not funny. Nobody's laughed at a single line from Garfield's Tale to Kitties.
Mark, let me tell you. Remember how I said this movie doesn't have an original idea in its body? That is from Animal House. Did the British give up when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? No. But it is from Animal House. There's not an original movie.
Okay, hold on. So
replace those lines of lasagna to make it instantly not funny. This whole movie's just total bullshit. Like I mean, it couldn't even be the shortest movie. We saw this. Batman and the Red Hood is a shorter movie than Garfield Tale of Two Kitties. I could, at the very least, you bring the shortest movie here. You couldn't even do that, Kaiser. What the fuck?
Hold on, pause. We do not attack the people who bring the movie. We attack the movie. This is not YLS. I will say.
Angry to Garfield Two Kitties. I'll direct my angle to Garfield Two Kitties. I'm angry at
I will say this. One movie was straight to DVD. I'm really shocked that this was not the one. This one should have never made
Very
it.
Good point. Does anyone know what the budget of Tale of Two Kitties is?
It's got to be way too much money.
Bill Murray probably asked for like 30 grand.
$60 million.
60?
Yes.
It's just a fly across the pond.
There's
We had to
some.
go to the
There's
No,
some,
there's some money
scheme
laundering
going on.
scheme.
Yes.
You know, I am kind of wondering something. I'll let you talk. Why was Garfield fully animated, but then they had every other animal like as an animal, but like with the animated voices?
That makes it so much more distracting.
Like,
I mean,
What
well,
was
because
up-
Garfield, they couldn't get the cats to really eat lasagna.
They couldn't get a cat that looks like fucking Garfield. That is the truth, because Garfield does not look like an actual cat.
yeah, exactly.
It's like Odie. Yeah, have you seen the cartoon Odie? That fucking dog looks nothing like Odie.
Yeah.
If you want the
just
likeness of the
animated.
character, you have to fucking animate it.
Is that also like a Garfield thing? Does Odie talk like in any of the old Garfield
He
stuff?
doesn't talk at all.
Okay,
Which is
that was bugging me too. It's like I didn't understand that.
I would like to say the best thing to come out of Bill Murray as Garfield is the one scene in Zombieland Double Tap when he's promoting Garfield 3 and then the zombie outbreak happens. I think that's the only good thing to ever come out of these two movies, and it's not even in these two movies.
What I would say is, even if you don't, okay, I can see why people don't like the first Garfield, because honestly, the first Garfield.
Oh, I can see why the first one's not good, but Tale of Two Kitties, oh, chef's kiss.
Tale of Two Kitties is set in a Tale of Two Kitties expand upon the first Garfield, but I bring it to a more fun setting, which is an English countryside castle. And honestly, it just okay. The reason why I say it's a good time is because it's very chill. Like the stakes are like pretty low. Like Billy Connolly is trying to redevelop the estate, but it's just a movie of harmless.
So
and
hilarious real estate.
It's not trying to be like
I
it's
love
not
a
trying
movie
to
where the villain is all about real estate. You know, that's so riveting for kids to watch.
This
It's
movie
just-
made Tim Curry fucking boring. You know how hard that is to do. The
Yeah, he
man
was.
is Pennywise. The man is insane, and this movie made him boring.
Yeah, he wasn't
All
supposed
right.
to do it.
I feel like we are better people for having
Haven't
seen this. And I will give you a little tease for the rest of the show. Kaiser entered the call and said, after the movie I just watched last night, I guarantee you my film is not the worst film. So there is something coming that Kaiser believes is worse than A Tale of Two Kitties. Yeah, we should have actually just broke roundtable rules and just like pop this on screen and all watch it together.
There you go.
We may do a live commentary roundtable one time where we just hop on call and actually watch one together. That'd be fun. Maybe we'll call this back in a year. Everybody be available. Thank you. Kaiser, what's your star rating?
Upon this watch, there's some stuff that I don't like as much, like for example, Tim Curry, so 4.5.
Wow, it went down half a star.
Oh my god! Wow.
We'll go Jake.
An extremely, extremely generous 1 star.
Okay, Mark. Mark, this is the most passionate Mark has been in a really long time.
Yeah, bruh.
Guys, I really hated this movie. I'm sorry. It's like half a star. Like I couldn't stand it.
Bar.
Let me just see what other movies I gave 1 star. Is it along those lines?
1 star.
I'm gonna. I'll be super generous only because of Billy Connolly, 1.5. I'm glad that you like it. Don't let us take that.
No, you're
Don't let
not.
us, don't let us take your enjoyment of.
No, I will not. I will not sit here and let you pander like a jackass. Like, shut up. No, we don't.
Kaiser, you're a
We
living
all
proof
secretly.
you're a living proof that every movie is somebody's favorite movie of all time. So,
Mark, you better never back down. The movie is ass.
You know what? That's fair.
a lot of
there's
people
a-
agree with you.
Well, it was mostly in focus, and I can never fully hate Bill Murray So I'm gonna pull a Mike Hanley. I gave it a 2.
Um, you can find out what all three of these films have in common. Terrifier 2, Poggy Beach, and Altered State. It has now entered the Hall of Fame as the fourth film to get a half-star rating from me. Listen, I love my daughter more than life itself. She stared at that screen and looked at me when the cats did the mirror thing and said, "Can we turn this off?"
It's like more than halfway through the movie as well.
She
The best
would
was the-
watch. She would watch bubbles form on the screen for hours if needed. This film, she was done. So that gives the Rebecca seal of shit. And she's so bad she talked to her grandparents. I saw a cat movie and it was bad. That's what she kept saying. So it was great times. Have a next up, X and Lucia. Or I'm just gonna come out and say it. Tits the movie. Listen, this woman's naked. Hats off to her. A lot. Fully. Like fully.
Yeah.
So I thought this
Mega.
was a direct. I thought this was directed by that guy that you like to throw out all the time.
Lars von Trier.
Pedro
No.
Almodovar?
Pedro
Almodovar?
Oh God, yes, yes. Sad it wasn't, but okay, fine. No, I knew it wasn't Lars von Trier. Like she didn't get her head decapitated and her eyes like put on like display for everybody to watch. Like, Lucille wouldn't have made it 12 minutes in the Lars von Trier movie. I'm just saying. Rosario, you told me there's like context, so maybe I'm missing. I found it fine. Like if I'm being honest, I found it fine. I did not like hate the experience, but I just meh. So what's up? What am I missing? Tell me.
Okay, I really connect with movies made in Spain and made in Latin America because I think there's something to the fact that it's my original language and there's like a more of an emotional connection with
You
deep
speak Spanish?
characters control. What?
You speak Spanish?
Yes, I do. Julio Medem is a very interesting Spanish director. I think he has made actually a bunch of movies, but I think the three that come to the top are Mama with Penelope Cruz, The Lovers of the Arctic Circle, where he actually made a movie that is a living palindrome in a movie, and this one, which is Sex and Lucia, which I think is just his way to explore the inside of the mind of a creative being. Like the movie is kind of a mess, but on purpose because it kind of mixes a little bit of the timeline. It shows you how Lorenzo gets inspired to write, and he shows you his life when the tragic events that happen on it that then reflect on the movie. I think it's kind of beautiful to have that special moment where you having a party, you're celebrating your life, and then you just decide to hook up with a stranger and let's not say anything. Let's don't say where we are from or names, whatever, and then have that just find a way to come back around in life for you. And I like the fact that even though the main character of the movie is definitely Lorenzo, like the Lucia is our connecting point. She's I would say it would be for this movie like the kind of a Latin version of the Manic Dream Pixie Girl. What's the actual term for that?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Where she's like, yes, this is the beautiful girl who just fucking loves everything that you have made as a creator and henceforth loves you. And the way she interacts with him is like, I'm gonna give you everything you ever wanted, but then make he realizes that maybe that is not enough because there are more things in life that have more meaning. It's lovely, it's sad, it's sexy as fuck, and it's also cruel at points, especially about the things involving Luna. But I think it overall it kind of finds its way together in the island. It's like it's like the whole thing is kind of like a waking dream through the life of this person, and how different parts just come in, come out, fit together at different points. To me, this was something I watched when I was 20 years old at the movie theaters, and it was kind of like in my indie Latin crazy ass artsy fartsy age, and I fucking loved it. And watching it like at least 3 or 4 more times during the next 25 years, I've always found it as interesting as the first time. And I would like to say that to me, this makes Paz Vega show that she is a great actress because she kind of sucks in Spanglish. And I blame that on the fact that that movie's in English.
I forgot she's in Spanglish. That's a good.
Yeah.
Interesting point.
I disagree.
My
I
mom
think she's
told me
great. in
that
Spanglish.
when I was watching it. No one's saying anything, so I'll step in.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I would like to watch more Latin American films. You know, I would say it's a kind of a blind spot for me. And Nazario picking this, I thought, this must be like an underrated gem or like a movie that's beloved in that that culture. But I found this movie to be just incredibly fine. I found it a little bit confusing at points, the way it sort of goes back in time, flash forwards and flashbacks. I was just sort of unsure what I was supposed to be focusing on. Nazar, you bring up the idea of just like a writer and sort of them being creative and writing, and I'm a big fan of that. I love movies about writers. I've just seen this story told in other movies before, whether it's Ruby Sparks or adaptation, like the idea of writer's block or the Manic Pixie Dream Girl sort of being an influence.
I think this movie's older, but I get it.
No, I know what you mean. Like the problem with being my age is that I've seen movies after this movie and then going back and just feeling like this is just a retread of something that I've seen before. I just didn't find anything unique outside of a little bit of the visual sort of style. I think they shot this on digital as well, which is sort of interesting for a movie from 2001. It had that sort of digital look to it.
It was a budget thing, yeah.
I imagine it was a budget thing.
The shots with directly in the sunlight are a little rough. Yeah,
they're really overblown. It's like the sky should, instead of the sky being blue, it's just white. I thought that the movie also starred Penelope Cruz, and every time throughout the movie, I just kept calling her not Penelope Cruz because outside of just sort of looking like her, I sort of got a bit of a cadence and the way she sort of her performance sort of just really reminded me of her, which is sort of a detriment to her unfortunately. But yeah, I didn't find. I was expecting something more, I guess, creative or something more unique, and I just found this to be just a soapy relationships movie about three people and how they connected.
So yeah, for me, it's like, you remember when Cody said there's a movie where I think it's worse than Garfield of the Kitties? This is
wow.
Holy shit! Never.
This was Dark City, so.
This movie, I watched this movie, I was like, there is nothing that is gripping me. All the characters, especially Lorenzo, were not likable in the least, personally. And then even though the scenes, so in terms of the cinematography, initially when at the first scene at the beach, I found it kind of beautiful. But when they repeat it again and again and again with just like the harsh white sunlight and the unfocusedness of it, I just found it kind of like it's a bit gimmicky and was just not great for me. And also these types of movies, the appeal is in the sex scenes, but then you eventually have to move beyond that, and I feel like it never really did. The focus, the story wasn't very connected very well, and the characters were not super interesting. So I just really couldn't find stuff that I could latch onto in this movie that I really liked. So it wasn't a pleasant experience. Like this movie was 2 hours, and I found it even more cumbersome than watching Fiddler on the Roof. Yeah.
What the fuck?
Wow, worse than that. That's crazy. That's crazy.
So as you can see, I'm a good Christian boy. So
I hate you.
There's a lot about this movie that I do like. I think that there are some interesting characters. There are some visual imagery that I think is absolutely fantastic, like the death of Luna. I think visually speaking, that was just a really interesting and unique way of showing that. I like Paz Vega's performance. I think that she is a fantastic actress. Sometimes the sex scenes were just too much. Like I was like, we get it. I get it. I
I
don't
don't
need
think
to
you do
see
get it.
whatever.
And you see some more, Christian boy.
And I think that I don't know. There were some elements that just like either were interweaved too perfectly, or just were not as well tied together as it really could have been. Also, why that dog was around that girl never should have been around that girl. That dog should have never been around that girl. So yeah, I liked it. I still don't know exactly how much I liked it, but I do like it. I do think it's a very good movie.
Yeah,
Save the
for
best for last every time, Mark. Go ahead.
for like the first like 30, 40 minutes, it was kind of like, whenever you're watching a film on cable and you feel like you're just kind of popping in the middle of a movie and you're not really sure where it is. That's kind of where the first act of this movie is. Like I didn't know where we were or what part of the story this is or where is it going, and we kind of get to where we're. The one really positive thing I can say about this story is it's wholly original. I had no idea where it was going, and it kind of kept me guessing. It's the one thing that kind of kept me engaged the whole time. Is like I have no like especially when we get to like the meat of the third act, and we know that the guy living in the house is also the stepdad. Is like, where the fuck is this going? Like what's happening here? Like just. But it's just like, I mean, part of me is like, is Lorenzo supposed to be like this unlikable because he's kind of a piece of shit? Like,
Yeah.
Is it something like he's a tortured artist? And it's like, oh, my work, and then, oh, I'm inspired by the shitty things I've done.
That's the one thing that sticks out like a sore thumb to me, that he never gets any shit for cheating on his girl.
in an effort to learn to get to know his daughter better, he ends up trying to have sex with her babysitter.
The babysitter, and yeah, which causes the child to kill or to die of the accident.
I will say I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised about like him going off and like doing other things, because like I think the relationship between him and Lucia is strictly based on sex. I think that in his eyes, I think that in his eyes is pretty much just it's just a sexual relationship.
I think she loved
I thought it was over their dates and their romantic love for indie pop.
I think she loved him.
I also couldn't get like that part from It's Sunny in Philadelphia out of my head. Like just trying to like say, what would make every movie better? I got it, full penetration.
We get close to it. We don't see fully, but we get as close as we can.
We see pictures.
We do see an erect penis at one point as well.
I was just like,
yeah, that's all. Yeah.
I was like, how close to this title is this movie going to be? It was a war field and like a battlefield in my house watching this movie, trying to make sure my door stayed shut or like what. I was like, it looked like I was up to no good in this room. Just like, oh yeah, what? Nothing. I'm fine. Like, what are you doing? Like, my daughter's like, what? What are you watching? Nothing you can see. I'm not sure I can see it right now, to be honest with you. So, thanks for that.
It's kind of a minefield because you're like, okay, this is safe. They're just walking on the beach and boom, mud covered dick.
Well, there's that, yeah, and then he puts mud all over it, yeah.
And you see it starting to like stiffen, and you're just kind of like,
it's like the fucking lipstick, it just comes out.
But worse than is it worse than Garfield Tale of Two Kitties?
No.
We're about to find out. Nazario, what's your rating?
I love this fucking movie. This reminds me of the younger version of myself when I was starting to get really into movies, indie movies, Latin movies, even
You
blockbuster
need
movies
to
when
tell
I
us
was
something?
20 years old.
You want to
No.
tell us something? Sorry.
I gave this movie 4 stars. I think it's very solid. It showed a lot of potentials, but the one movie that Julio Meda made that I loved even more than this one is Lovers of the Arctic Circle. And Jake, I would say, like, without all the innuendo sex thing, if you want to watch a couple of movies that are like Latin movies that are very underrated, I think The Sea Inside by Alejandro Amenábar is really good. And Butterfly from 1999, in Spanish is called The Tongue of the Butterflies. Look those up. Good shit.
Add it to the list.
Is that a sex
I'm
movie?
at 2.5 stars. I didn't know how to put it into words. Mark put it into words perfectly. It is exactly like dropping into a movie that's already begun. Like, I was just like, okay, sure. And again, everybody knows me. I need like through line, something that I can just like chase, and like I found myself dozing and just bored, and I can't believe I'm saying this in 2024, but maybe just too much tits. I don't know. Maybe that's just my thought process. Maybe just too much. Maybe I didn't know there was a line, but I found the line today. Bar.
I almost said something I was gonna regret. I'm kind of like stuck between two different scores.
How
I'm
far apart are these two different scores?
not that far. It's not that spread.
Word choice.
I'm
Word choice.
kind of straddling the line here. You know what? I will be nice. There's enough that I really liked about this movie. 4 tits, stars.
Mark.
Well, there are actually 2 tits on a human being, so I give this one 2 stars. There you go.
Kaiser, worse than Garfield, so what's the...
If I'm being honest, I can see that there's a directorial effort in this movie, and it's great. The rest kind of sucks though. 1.5 stars.
That's exactly how I felt about Garfield: A Tale of Two Kitties. The directing
Better
side.
or worse than Jurassic Park?
I mean, I like the tits here more than the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, but it's a close call. But you know, Jurassic Park takes it.
Fair. All right. I don't know why I put this movie.
Jake,
Oh,
I haven't.
Jake, what the hell? Sorry.
You've forgotten me twice now. Wow.
Did I forget about you twice?
You're the last one standing.
Shit.
I kid.
Another round table too. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, 2.5 stars. I just wish it was more engaging.
Me and Jake agree. All right, so Jake got a pass because normally we put movies in the middle that I have like the most questions or that I just didn't vibe with. Dark City for some reason got to the end, so I'm really curious. This movie is something. You just know how to bring movies that hurt my brain, by either choices or creative design or how it's aged over 26 years at this point. So, yeah, I think you and Nazario are fans of Dark City because who has seen the movie prior? Perfect. Okay.
Makes sense.
I'm going to let you two gush about it, and then we're going to find out how the other 4 of us feel after you gush about it. So, go ahead.
I just think that post Matrix world, this movie has no chance because a lot of the ideas are very similar. I love the Matrix. I'm going to admit I like it slightly more than Dark City, but I just feel like Dark City has been left in the shadows, and I think people should really give it a viewing at least once just to see like what kind of movie it's like. I'm a sucker for movies that deal with just like human identity and sort of just what is our shape of reality. This is just a really unique case of that through it's a Plato's cave. It's really much an allegory of that, of people being born in this cave and thinking that reality is just in this cave, and they do not want to see what's outside the cave. Very much similar ideas going in Dark City. I also just think Alex Proyas is such an interesting. His 90s run, which is just this and The Crow, I think he's a really visually interesting filmmaker. I will admit I do not care for everything post Dark City, which is
Fair.
iRobot, Knowing, and then the god awful Gods of Egypt.
I do like knowing. I do like
No.
knowing.
iRobot's got some ideas, but I just think this is his magnum opus of a small filmography that he has. He really just had a lot of ideas that you just get to see, and the ideas of just are we just the sum of our memories? Are we just who we are because of what we know, what we remember about people and things and ideas? Does that shape our personality and the idea of the human soul and these aliens called the strangers and how they harness what the soul is and where do you find that in being? I find that stuff very interesting, and I do really love the production design. If there's any takeaways from this movie, the production design, oh my god. We're talking about Batman. I just think this looks like Gotham City. The way everything just looks so like pulpy and noir. And that was a big influence for Proyas, just the film noir aspect of it. I think it just visually looks incredible, and they would love people more to appreciate on a technical side of it. I just really like the ideas about this movie.
This is my second favorite movie of 1998. My favorite one is in my top 10 movies of all time, so I hope everybody knows what I'm talking about. I love the design of the strangers, that this mysterious hooded figure that just like come out of nowhere and scare the shit out of you because you know they're up to no good. I like the way the movie deals with the character of Rufus Sewell, how he was supposed to be something and something happened that made him turn into something else. I think Jennifer Connelly is great in this movie, very underrated performance, even though it's this movie is part of the Jennifer Connelly standing in the end of the pier looking at the Ocean trilogy. It was the first one to have it. I do find it hilarious because I forgot that when William Hurt goes out of the city and you get to see how the Dark City looks in the sky, I was like, well, this is gonna turn up in some fucking flat earth or TikTok or something. But the ideas and the concept of this movie are great. And yes, Matrix may get all the props because it just did it in a more accessible, popular way 1 year later. But I think of the two, this is the better movie. And yes, I don't know what the fuck happened to Alex Proyas. He was on a fucking run. I do like Knowing, even though Knowing is not near as great as The Crow or Dark City. And you skip Garage Day, sir. It's a shitty movie.
Because no one remembers that movie.
It's an Australian movie. What the fuck?
Yeah,
man?
no one remembers it.
Okay. Fucking great movie, Dark City. Love it. I haven't rewatched it in like 10 years. I'm actually glad I did it. Although I could only find the director's cut, so that's what I watch.
Oh,
Is that any different? The director's cut?
It gets rid of the opening narration, which is the biggest problem with the theatrical version, and a couple of random stuff. You see, when everyone falls asleep, that's changed to a later point in the movie, and there's a bit more extended shots of the city. It's minor, but the main thing is the opening narration.
okay. Then to the effect. Okay, what I'll say is then I probably watched the director's cut because I did not see any opening narration, and to me that was one of the stronger points of the movie. Like I like it when the movie just like jumps in without giving any explanation, and this movie does it particularly well. Like you're jumping, like you don't know what is going on, and then you have to learn the rules of the world by yourself. Is like essentially so. That to me was one of the stronger points. And to me, Jay compares this movie to The Matrix. I actually compare this movie favorably to The Truman Show because it kind of showed me what The Truman Show was missing in that. This world is supposed to be terrifying, like the fact that you are living in a cage and not looking out it's supposed to be terrifying, and that's the one element from the Truman Show, which is otherwise a very good movie, is missing. So
By
that
the
was
way,
that was
1998 too.
Mm-hmm.
yes, correct. And yeah, so yeah, that was my main takeaways from this movie, which I felt was really interesting, and I agree should be talked about as much as the Matrix, maybe not more, but as much as.
So, no, fuck Mark. Mark doesn't get this shit.
He didn't even pick a theatrical release film.
Yeah, he's on my shit list. I don't normally lean this way. I enjoyed the design, like how this movie looks, more than I liked the overall movie. It's a little too weird for me, which is not a surprise by any means. Like, I also don't like the Matrix, so like that doesn't help. Like, I don't like that futuristic kind of stuff. It feels very 98. I think the effects look really, really bad, like awful to this, like. And it's not a shot at them. Like, it's not a shot, because what else could you really do? But like, the dinosaurs came out in 93 and those don't look terrible, but this shit looks bad.
It looks better than Gods of Egypt, to be fair.
Yeah, a movie
It
from
does. It does look better than Gods of Egypt. I don't love a lot of the performances. I felt like there's a lot of like how weird this movie is, or how out this movie is how like we had to act in this movie to like get that point across. But like, that's not a bad, like, I know, like, the thing is, I'm not going to like, normally if this was like 2 years ago, I'd rip this movie to shreds and call it a piece of shit, like thing. It's not that. Like, it has definite merits, and I do agree with you guys. I don't know why this doesn't in the pop culture like mindset is like Matrix, because this does. If you like the Matrix or you like that out, this movie has everything for you and then some. So like, it hits those things. It just doesn't hit for me. So overall, my cue popular quoted thing in this community, I respect it more than I like it. It's just not me kind of movie, but like, I thought there was a little just too much overacting. I think the effects look bad, but I also liked the world that it was in. Like, this might be sacrilegious to say, but like, if it was in the right hands, like, it'd be a cool remake today. But I think I think it has to take a very strong hand to do it, and not just give it a popular person that's not going to like do it to the right degree. So that's where I'm at. But overall, this is a movie I would have never seen if it wasn't Burma Round Table. So I will give you that. Like, and I wasn't like counting my clock and like seeing when it was over. Like, I stayed the whole time. It's not going to go past that like one time probably watch for me. But I'm glad I saw it. So good choice. I'll give it to the rest of you.
Oh yeah. I think we kind of said it before. I really like the look of this movie a lot, and honestly, like it's set up to where I was really going to be into it. It's set up like kind of a, kind of like a modern noir. Like, it's weird. I don't really like kind of class. Not that I don't like it. I just haven't seen a ton of classic noir. But I really dig like a really modern noir, and this one's kind of getting started off like that. It kind of reminded me a lot of like that anime Big O, like weirdly, like a little bit, but it's like, and I kind of love the concept, at least, of this guy not knowing what's going on, him slowly figuring out what's happening, and like we're kind of digging into the greater mystery. It's just like, once we get into the thick sci-fi elements of it, and we're watching Rufus Sewell fight like these like pale dudes with psychic powers, and we have like this, and we're like going to the end, and we're actually in a spaceship with the aliens.
I love that reveal.
And like we have like this big like psychic fight where mad scientist Kiefer Sutherland injects him with memories. like it just. It does feel like a little bit. I don't think it bothers me as much as some other stuff. It just I feel like this movie really had me, and then it just kind of didn't. It's a movie that I think on slightly different circumstances I would love. Instead, it's just a movie I just kind of like. That was solid. Although, thing I do think is funny is, Rufus Sewell, I think, is a largely forgotten actor. And over the course of 2 roundtables, we talked about probably his 2 most famous movies. Thing I just find kind of funny.
This movie.
What's the other one?
What is the other one? Knight's Tale?
Yeah, that was last month.
Oh wow!
By the way, this is one of those rare Rufus Sewell is the good guy movies because
He's always
guy's
the
a bad
asshole.
yeah.
This movie's fucking stupid. And
I just feel like I got stabbed.
and I kind of
people that he thought was gonna stab him was me, and I gave him a pass, and you're like, "This is fucking stupid."
But you know what?
Tradition.
But you know what? I enjoy it. I kind of enjoy how stupid this movie is.
You're a trash can human.
Like, I like a lot of the ideas. As we said, like the production design is really great. I really liked Kiefer Sutherland in this film. He's giving like just the right amount of weird.
The right amount of ham, yeah.
Yeah, he's giving like just the right amount of ham and cheese in this performance. I don't think I've seen a more perfect casting in a movie in a long time, though, than Richard O'Brien. Like, that dude was fucking meant for that role. And he plays it fantastically. I kind of wish that he was the main big bad guy.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, like if he was the main big bad guy and not like this other random old fart.
He's just
Yeah, I think he was just such a much more interesting character. Yeah, the special effects in this movie have not aged very well, though. They're pretty bad. And
25 years ago.
I don't know. William Hurt in this movie, I wish I liked his performance more, but it's kind of bland.
He's a bit of a stock detective character. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
I do like him in this movie, but he is a bit. But also, I think that's a part of the movie is that because they have implanted memories, like artificial memories, they are just these like generic characters. I think that's.
You're talking
kind of
about
interesting
William Hurt or Richard O'Brien?
William Hurt.
William Hurt.
Oh, okay.
Because William Hurt is just that detective character trying to solve this case of the murderer, which is Rufus Sewell, but like he's supposed to be the murderer. Like I just like the ideas of like if you're told that you're a murderer, are you actually going to be that person? Like are we more than just our memories and the way that sort of comes into play? I do have a question for everyone. Did everyone sort of know what was going to happen? Did anyone sort of call what was it going to be? Like it was going to be on a spaceship. Like it wasn't.
No, not at all.
No,
I didn't get it. I wasn't. I guess I may have missed some things, but that was one of the pleasant things. I'm like, oh, shit, that's interesting.
Wait.
I thought it was going to be kind of more of a Matrix reveal of like we're just kind of in a simulation or we're kind of plugged into a simulation. At him getting out of that, I didn't think we were in space.
I need a clarification. Do you mean like when I saw it in 1998 or like now that I rewatched it? Because now I saw it coming.
Yeah. Tradition.
You guys are so cruel to Bar today.
Today.
More than usual.
No.
We all took turns ripping apart Garfield, A Tale of Two Kitties. We're being really nice to Bart.
That's a fair point. We haven't even talked about Bar's movie.
We haven't talked about Bar's movie yet, so.
Oh, Jesus.
I would say that's like I love this movie for a lot of reasons, but I love that reveal. And I just love the idea of like they're trying to get to Shell Beach. And just when Rufus Sewell is asking William Hurt, like, when's the last time you've been to City Beach? Or like, just tell me a memory. Or like, do you remember the sun? And just that sort of stuff. And just like, yeah, I remember the sun. It's like when you're trying to think about it, and just the fact that everyone has been to Shell Beach, but they don't know how to get there. And then when you finally see what happens, you see the brick wall, and they destroy it, and then it's just, oh shit, what's going on. I think that's such a good reveal, and that sort of gets overshadowed because of the Matrix. I think it's really well done. You never even, and the opening narration sort of, no one say spoils it, but it basically just says like, yeah, a bunch of people were taken by these aliens, and they left me alone. And it's Kiefer Sutherland talking. He's like, and they let me do my experiments and help them, but I betrayed my own kind, and that sort of is like, it's
By
sort
the
of
way, when you're talking when you're talking about the ham thing, the memory scene, like you may wonder why appear in all your memories. Fucking!
I think it's so good. I love the reveal when Kiefer Sutherland is in the memories and he's got different accents and he's different people, and just like, this is what you got to do. You know, practice makes perfect. Using his telekinetic powers and shit. I just love the way that they reveal that. I also just love the way they visualize the memories. There's that weird like ripple, like you see in like the water, like how that ripple effect, and the music as well. Like it's inverted and reversed. Like it really creates a sort of chaotic sense of how we think about memories and how memories are to humans and how we sort of react to them. I think that's really visually interesting, and the way that I can't recall another movie that's done memories like that.
Okay, star rating, Jake.
I'm giving this 4.5 stars. I think it's great. I don't think it's perfect. I do think there are flaws with this movie, ones that we've talked about. I still think it's super underrated, and I would like more people to watch this the same way I've done with Peter Pan and Altered States. I think just one viewing, and I'm happy.
Fair. Nazario.
5 stars, fucking perfect movie. If it wasn't for Pig in the City, it would be the best movie of '98.
No, would never expected that. Okay. Oh boy.
Jesus Christ. I'm at 3 stars. I'm at 3 stars. Glad I watched it. Don't know if I will revisit it, but I'm glad I can check it off. I honestly didn't know this movie existed, so thanks, Jake.
Or did you not remember this movie existed?
Maybe in another life.
Maybe. Bar, I hate you. Kaiser.
So I think I'll give it like 4 stars. Like the one thing that we haven't really talked about is the final scene of the movie where he like recreates like the sun and like Shell Beach. It doesn't really look real, which I guess makes sense because like it's stuff that he had, because technically the guy all he has is like inherited memories. He has forgotten what reality looks like, so it kind of makes sense, and I thought it was a nice touch. But otherwise, except for Kiefer Sutherland, who I thought was a bit too weird in this movie, great movie, 4 stars.
Mark.
I'm not sure if it'd be a better movie, but it's maybe one I'd like a little bit more if maybe there's a version of this movie where William Hurt is the main character, and like he's going through like kind of a weird detective story trying to figure out what's going on. All in all, like I think there's enough I like about this movie. I think it's still very interesting, and I give it 3.5 stars.
Bar.
It's a fun time. 3.5 stars.
It's also stupid.
And the last movie of the night, Tradition. So everybody get a bottle, because we're going to do the bottle dance. I'm set, so everybody knows.
We kind of like shake our titties like Toko does, like whenever he.
I'm gonna talk to my milk cow. You know.
This was sadly a first time watch for me. I never saw this movie before. I've heard so much about it for so long. The runtime always scared me, personally. I am really happy I saw this movie. I really enjoyed this movie. I've always known I wish I was a rich man. I did musical theater growing up, so like I did the like all the time. Like it's the one song, and of course I knew Matchmaker, but that was from Robin Williams from Mrs. Doubtfire from this movie. So overall, for a movie that gets hyped like this, because in musicals, like Fiddler on the Roof is like in musical theater groups is highly regarded. But you're 100% right when you talk about movie musicals. This one is very low down, and I don't believe it should be as low down as it is. I think it's absolutely incredible. I think I'm drawing a blank.
Topol?
Main guy. Yeah, Topol. This is the main guy.
Tevier, Rep Tevier.
Give him all he should have won ever. He is like the glue. Like I wanted the whole movie every time for him to never leave the screen. I found him has so much charisma, so much like storytelling. He's like that entire thing, like doing the tradition, doing Richer Was a Rich Man, like this entire thing. It feels such a part of the life that I won't ever understand, and like they do such a well job of like explaining, and like you want to be a part of it and you enjoy like while you're in it. I raving about this movie, enjoyed every bit of it. I did not feel the length. I know that's going to not be everybody else's take on it. I did not feel the length. I'd watch it again. I found it great. I'm so happy I checked it off my list, but I'm kind of pissed that I waited this long to actually watch it. So. Yeah, and that bottle dance, I joked about it. Epic. Yeah. Like how they were able to just do it on their like feet, and like I could watch that scene over and over again. So
that one shot of them all coming like head on is legitimately one of my favorite shots in cinema history. It is just such an incredible capture of movement and joy. And just it's how I felt when I first watched Not To from RRR. the dance in that, I was just like, when that bottle thing, I rewound it. I found it so fascinating. I was like, well done. So overall, Nazario watches on a phone. I just want that on the record. Nazario did watch on a phone.
Honestly,
while driving on traffic.
Of all the films for Roundtable, that's like the one I would never have watched on a phone. Like that needs to be seen on your TV.
I wish I would have saw it in the like. I would like if this ever comes to a theater, I'm going to see it in the theater.
Oh, I'm buying tickets right away.
I think it's great, like great. And Jewison did it, like directed it,
Norman
right?
Jewison, yeah.
Norman Jewison, yeah.
Hats off. Man does a lot of good films from that time frame. So
one of the more underrated directors of like all time, in my opinion.
Recently, just lost him.
Yeah. He owned great. Everybody else can talk.
I was definitely of all the movies. This is definitely the one I was the most hesitant about. Like what we've talked about.
100%.
3 hours long. It's one that I also hadn't seen. Well, like I said, I had seen Tale of Two Kitties, so I knew what I was getting myself into with that.
That's fair.
I knew that I'm not someone who generally is big fan of classic musicals. I feel like the Western genre, it got overplayed really, really quickly. Just there was a good 2 decades where it was Westerns and musicals that just took over Hollywood. And as with both genres, they had a downfall, and now we have retro musicals and Westerns and different takes on the genres. This is one that I had never seen. It was great to finally tick it off my watch list and say that I'd seen this movie. And I must say, I was pleasantly surprised. Despite this movie being 3 hours, I did not find it to drag at really many moments. I found it to really feel like it needed to be 3 hours. There's a lot of story going on. I thought visually it looked great. I was not expecting how epic the movie was going to be and how it was going to look. It won cinematography Oscar. I think I love the opening credits when the fiddler's on the roof and you see the credits with the sunrise. I think that looks just really, really nice. But like that way it starts with tradition. I thought that musical was great. I kept shouting tradition every time they said it throughout the movie. It was fun. But yeah, I think my main takeaway from this movie is Topo is a fucking great singer, actor. The guy puts it all. Am I not wrong when I say this, Bar, that he's played this character like over 1,000 times on stage?
Something like that. I know that he was one. I think he was the person after Zero Mostel who debuted it.
But he's like the one who just like became the character and just had played the character for like 40 years or something. Like,
Pretty much.
He was, what's his name again? I can't remember. Tevier. He's been that character for like, he's played him so many times. Yeah, I thought it was a main takeaway. My main takeaway was just his performance is electrifying, and I would have given him the Oscar. I don't know how everyone would have felt, him or Gene Hackman, who won for French Connection, but I thought Topol just was I haven't seen French Connection a bit, but like I do really like Topol a lot. I would have given him the Oscar.
I did not look forward to watching this movie. This movie was, and I am not really a big fan of musicals. Like which is ironic because one of my favorite movies of all time is Dancer in the Dark. But I think that is it kind of tells you the kind of shit I did.
Ezra's face was so perfect.
But I surprisingly, against my better judgment, actually ended up enjoying this movie. Definitely, it was not made for me. It's very deep in Jewish religion lore. I was a little lost in some of the parts with the tradition and why some things were happening the way they were. But I Googled some stuff. It was interesting enough that I Googled and I learned a bit. I do agree that Topo really inhabits the Rep Tevye's character in a way that it's few and far between when you can an actor really gets lost into a character and just makes you believe what they're doing. And I agree with Cody. Like if he was in the screen on every single scene of this movie, probably would have been better. I did feel the length. I did hate the fact that they had a freaking, I don't know if it's in every version of the movie. The one I saw had it like a freaking intermission sign
Yes,
that just
mine had
sits
that.
there,
every
sits there
version.
for like 5 minutes.
Wasn't that
And-
long?
It felt that long. But the thing is that
Actually, it may have been that long.
I think I would have given this movie a higher rating if it was about 2.5 hours. But for something I expected to really don't like at all or not enjoy, it just fucking won me over, man. What can I say? Like, hey, I like what I like and I hate what I hate. And if you don't like what I like, then fuck you. I don't give a shit.
Well,
Yeah, so I'll go next. This movie is like one of 5 movies that when my dad first learned that I like to watch movies, he's like, you must watch these 5 movies: The Godfather, The Mission, Blade Runner, Godfather 2, and this movie. And this movie was the only one that I hadn't seen. Okay, I had seen it like clips of it, especially if I were a rich man. And now I watch this like fully for the first time. I honestly think that like Nazario said, it could have been shorter. Like, even though it is the most iconic number in these musicals, I don't think the "If I Were a Rich Man" song is strictly necessary in the movie. Like, I thought
I wanted that to go for 20 minutes. I love that.
Yeah, like I think tradition by itself already sets up Tevye, because essentially Tevye's character is essentially the essentially the character of Anatevka, and I think it's already established in a tradition. I think "If I Were a Rich Man" was a bit self-indulgent, if I can say that. And what I also say for this movie is I agree with what everyone has said so far in that, yes, Topo is the best part of the movie and he's a glue of the movie. But I also think that he is what is holding this movie back from greatness, like the character of Tevye itself. And the reason why I say that is because Tevye, and by extension the whole town of like Anatevka, is very inwards looking. They look inside, they care about their traditions, but I think this movie could have been better if it explored more about the outside influences, like what the Tsar government is doing, like what are the attitudes of the Russian people towards the Jewish people, which I thought they explored it a little bit with the third daughter, but I thought they could have explored a bit more.
Sorry, I know Mark and Cody need to speak, but I need to just say I vehemently disagree with that. The idea is that they care so much about their village, like inwards, like you're saying, that it's only until the second half of the movie where that greater outside force becomes an actual threat to them, and they decide that they have to leave. Like,
I think
that's the whole video, and that's the arc of not just Tevye, but the village.
Aside from Perchik, Tevye is the only one who's actually kind of looking outwards of the village. He's the only one adapting to the world around him. He's the only
His
one
daughters
willing
and
to
their hand in
break
marriage.
away from traditions that the other townspeople are so set on keeping.
Well, but you see, on one hand, does he really want his daughters to be marrying these people? But on the other hand, this is against tradition.
By the way, if we ever ask a question of what musical features the song Tradition, automatically should never be asked. If you've seen this movie one time, there's no shot that you missed that question.
That's one thing I was thinking about because Mark and I got asked a Fiddler on the Roof question against Milwaukee Bears last year. We both missed it and they got it. And now I'm just like, thank God I've seen Fiddler on the Roof because I'm never going to miss a fucking question now. When I get asked if when Sunrise, Sunset, or, is in what musical, I'm going to fucking know it.
I wish I was a rich man. Mark.
Listen, I've been very
Big musical guy.
I've been very vocal. I love the musicals. I head over to New York once a year, get up to big musical numbers at Broadway. Yeah, I mean, they're not my thing. There's not. Like I enjoy more explosions and probably a bit more cleavage in my set pieces.
And cats.
Yeah.
And cats. And cats.
If they blew up that fucking vision, if they blew up that fucking village, fuck your tradition.
Gronk came by and Mark was like, "Here we go."
What if they blow up the lighthouse in Sex and Lucia?
It would have helped.
If they beat somebody with a crowbar, it would have helped. Go ahead.
I will say though, and we've all talked about it. We've all brought up Topple, and I think he is kind of the glue. I think that kind of brings it all together for me. Mainly because I think, especially with him and the musical numbers, I am very locked in whenever he gets into a musical number, because he just has such a unique voice, and just every time he's on screen, it feels fun, feels charismatic. I feel drawn in, and it helps. I think just with him in general, I enjoyed more musical numbers. I think in this movie, if it were somebody else or done a different way, and just in general, again, it is really long. If you and I had picked this for the show, I probably would have gone on just not watching this because it's 3 fucking hours, is really long. I was wondering why I hadn't seen it before, but that's why. And I did find myself enjoying the story more than I did just the way it goes, and I think what I found very interesting is, even though I think especially in today's sentiment, I think people would find it very easy to villainize a character like Tevye, who is very, very traditional. But but throughout the entire, well, I didn't even think I would do that. But they found a way to humanize him, so for us to empathize with him and feel his pain, whenever he has to make compromises in himself, and especially in that last bit where his daughter marries that guy he disapproves of. I feel like he does he does a very good job. We see he does a very good job of illustrating his pain and us empathizing with him. And I think in a time where I think he can easily be vilified, I think it's such an interesting performance that way. I think we can kind of see inwards, and it, especially at the very end when he in his own way accepts it, and he kind of is able to give his daughter his love at the end. I found that pretty moving, and I will say I'm surprised that I liked it as much as I did.
It kind of feels to me a little bit like the story of I think it's Job in the Bible. The guy got tested because Lucifer was like, of course he loves you, God. You give him everything. If you take everything away from him, he's not gonna fucking keep praying to you. I do feel Tevye get tested a lot in this movie, and I think it's Chava, the redhead one, Chava. I think that it's kind of a breaking point because he has been letting it bend. He has accepted that his eldest daughter picked the guy she wanted to marry, and he was a poor simpleton and not the rich butcher. He understood that his middle daughter didn't even ask him for permission. She just fucking did whatever she wanted to do. But going outside the Jewish religion was a big step. So he was. I looking at through the lens of 2024, it feels like, oh, come on, man, why are you being such a chauvinistic pig or whatever? But seeing it through at least my filter, which is more of a traditional, I guess, Latin culture stuff. I mean, you can see that he actually bent as far as he felt he could before, and nobody gave him credit for that. Like, you need to realize that this man is a square, and you're trying to make him fit into a round hole, and he already tried three corners. You know what I mean? Like, I really love Tevye, man, and
Yeah.
I'm sorry that they had that happen with the Russian and Hava, but he's still a
Yeah.
good dude.
Yeah, Tevye is
I,
just.
well, I do want to say real quick, for a movie that is called Fiddle on the Roof, there's very little fiddling on roofs.
Beginning and
I didn't want to talk about that after Bart's.
I just want to close out with saying Tevye is genuinely one of my favorite characters in like media, because the development of his character is just so rich and well layered and incredibly well developed. He is, as I said, he's one of the only people in this entire town who is willing to bend traditional rules because of how much he loves his daughters. Um, it's a balance of faith and family and love that it's such a balancing act. And I think that the way that the character is written is just so incredible when it comes to understanding him and his growth as a person.
I know you
He
mentioned
just
it.
passed away too.
Yeah.
Now that you mention it, like,
No.
I didn't really like how they wrote his wife. I mean, I get it. She was a lesser character in the story, but still.
But
What
you
about
see
that?
her grow as well throughout,
She does grow,
especially in the song "Do You Love Me," which I think is just such a great piece, just to build that relationship between the two of them.
Especially in
for
that
example,
culture as well.
I could have done honestly without the cemetery song.
Oh, the Nightmares Dream.
The dream
musical
sequence?
part?
That was great.
That was
Oh my
cool.
God.
I like that.
That was great.
That was so much fun.
That was
I thought that was great.
For a movie that I feel
It's
like
a
did good job of
it's a
being
3 hour
that
movie.
was the
Like,
most
and
stagey
so I could have
part.
lived without that one. And like, it came to
Mark.
me in a dream. Come on, man.
Mark, what were you saying?
I feel like of a movie that did a pretty good job of being, I mean, kind of taking the stage element out of the movie. That was the most stagey moment of the movie.
Yes.
Well, it's because he's being
I
over.
do agree.
Like,
I do agree. But
Yeah,
overall,
it was a
good.
visual, stylistic choice. I love the dream sequence.
I
do
hate
wanna-
that
sorry,
critique, though. I do hate that critique of like
Yeah.
I always hate like it's from a play, it feels the play. Like I get it, but like whatever.
There's
Like
parts
it
of the
doesn't
movie
bother.
that
Like,
just do not.
Yeah,
feel like
if
that
the
as well.
movie is the story is like two people in a bedroom, and then you film a movie with two people in a bedroom, that's the fucking script, man. That it doesn't mean it's because it's on
Fair.
play.
Kaiser.
Okay,
Before
so
we get
what I'll say is that I might have sounded a bit too critical when I describe this movie, but honestly, this movie is really great. And what I think is goes a bit under the radar is the side characters. Like, for example, Laser Wolf and the Matchmaker. Both of them are honestly
Laser
great
Wolf.
characters that by the end of the movie, okay. And another thing about this movie is that you at the start of the movie, I actually thought when they're saying tradition, I thought they were being a bit ironic about it, like the music was being ironic. But then, as I watched the movie, I started to think, okay, they meant it sincerely in that we should respect tradition and a tradition does have to play a part in our decision making. But me as a 24-year-old who doesn't really like tradition, I didn't really understand that. But at the very end of the movie, once they were driven out, you can even I can see why you have to have tradition, because when the Jews are as persecuted as they are in this movie, faith and tradition are like pretty much what the only things that they have. Like it is a core part of the identity that you cannot take away from, that you simply cannot take away from them. Yeah, that's what I've said about this movie.
And also kind of piggybacking off of what Kaiser said, I feel like just in general, just the character of Tevye is kind of an interesting look at just Jewish people in general. Is a character who continually takes shit his entire life, but just kind of finds a way to just kind of keep moving forward and just kind of not letting it bother him for the rest of his life.
Last thing I'll say is I do also, just to piggyback off Kaiser and Mark, the idea is that he's just waiting. It must be part of God's plan. Like he still believes in that the religion of I can't remember. Is it Judaism or whatever? Like, right? I can't remember. But just him being a vocal supporter of and listening to God and speaking to him. He has all those times in the movie, and just like this has to be part of God's plan. Like my place and everything, and the way I have to take care of my daughters and what they want to do, and sort of I think that's like really the most like dynamic, dramatic stuff of the movie. But I just want to point out, what is with the fiddler on the roof? He talks briefly about it at the beginning, and you see him. I love that he's like a phantom or something. He just shows up, and at the end of the movie, I think that's really funny. Oh, really?
He's the representation of their tradition. That's why he hops in the back of the cart at the end of the film.
Right. Okay, that's cool.
I actually also think that the moment that Jake was mentioning about him talking to God, I think my favorite representation of that is when he is dealing with the fact that his second daughter is basically doing whatever the fuck she wants, and he starts talking to God like, "But what about the matchmaker?" And he's like, "Well, Adam and Eve doesn't have a matchmaker." Well, maybe they have the same matchmaker, and then he kind of fucking goes from there. Like, I fucking love that guy, man. Fucking
those freeze frames.
It's
like, stop. All right, let me think about this.
All right. Scores. Probably the longest roundtable, but it was really good. This was a really good episode, so I appreciate everybody. Bar.
It's one of my all-time favorite films. One of my all-time favorite musicals. One of my favorite characters. Some of the best shots. 4.5 stars.
Jesus Christ! I thought you were gonna say 5. What the fuck?
He doesn't. No, him
him
and Kirk hold those. Him and Kirk hold those 5 stars like they're precious fucking children, and then nothing can equal them.
My favorite movie of all time, 4 stars.
Well, he didn't say that. But...
Again, he gave 4.5 stars because he fell asleep during Godfather.
Not what happened to all of our listeners.
No, it did. Nazaria, I have the text messages. Nazaria.
Yeah, I know I logged this at 3 stars just to fuck with Bar, but it's actually a really good fucking movie. I wish it was a little shorter. 4 stars for me.
I'll take it. Let's go.
Way better than I thought it was going to be. Mark.
Yeah, 4 stars seems right. I give it 4 stars.
Kaiser.
Is it as good as Garfield, A Tale of the Kitties? No. Is it still a solid fucking movie that I think should not be okay? Because this movie, with the release of this movie, it kind of marked like the end of the classic musical, which I felt like it shouldn't be called the movie that ended all the classic musicals, because it's actually like way better than Shite, like My Fair Lady and Sound of Music. 4.5 stars. 4.5.
Just mention an Audrey Hepburn movie with Bar on this round table.
No, I mean, he's right, though. It is better than My Fair Lady. I will say that.
Jake.
After watching the movie, right after, I was like, I think this is going to be 3.5 stars, but the more I thought about it, the more we're discussing it, I think I've got to give it 4 stars. A pretty solid 4 stars, I must say. And if anyone hasn't seen the clip of Alfred Molina as Doc Ock singing "If I Was a Rich Man," I highly recommend that. That was my introduction to that
Alfred
song.
Molina actually played him on Broadway and got a Tony nomination for it.
That's awesome.
4.5 stars. Solid. I do agree. 2.5 like hours should have done. Like they needed to make it as long, but overall did not like feel the length. Like, but it just, there's some stuff you can cut out, like obviously, but like overall really good. Glad I enjoyed it, and it will definitely be on a revisit soon. So awesome. That's the show. Again, we're alternating every 2 weeks. We're doing a roundtable top 100. We're walking through the combined list of the community on fresh watches, talking about what's on there. I can do that real quick by giving everybody what's upcoming on that. What's the movies that are upcoming on that one? 1 second. I swear I can do this. Maybe not. This is long. Okay. Broadcast news, Doubt, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, Finding Nemo, and All the President's Men. Those are the 5 movies of this upcoming week that we are doing. The next episode after that, I don't have movies because I just created the green room, but it is Jake Marangoni again, Mark Menchaca, Scott Harvey, Tim Brzakala, and Dylan Van Thine. We will be doing for 6 movies then. So, yeah,
Real
look out for us.
fellowship. I know that's real first order. Great you got.
Yeah, it's a pretty good first order group. Huh?
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. If I were a rich man.
Finish up!